Come to order. If I can call the meeting to order, please. Hello, I'm Steve Whistler, President of the Board of Education. I'd like to welcome you to the July 15th, 2026 board meeting. In keeping with the board's commitment to open communication with the community, this meeting is being streamed live on CCPS website at www.carolk12.org and also broadcast live on Channel 21. We're also recording this meeting so it can be accessed on demand on our website and broadcast throughout the month on Channel 21. Public participation will be held at approximately 5:15 p.m. following the reports section on the board meeting agenda. Speakers will be directed into the boardroom from the building lobby and allotted 3 minutes to address the board. As a reminder, please silence all cell phones and other devices. Board members, please turn off your microphones when not speaking. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Dorsey.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Battaglia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 10th, 2026?
So move.
So moved by Dr. Malvo. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Now we'll hear from our Carroll County Government Student Report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members and Dr. McCabe. My name is Peony Kang, a current senior at Liberty High School and president of the Carroll County Student Government Association. This past month, I officially appointed my staff for the 2026 to 2027 school years. We have representation from 6 out of 7 high schools and 3 middle schoolers on the board. We are so excited to welcome them all in. All applicants have been notified of their status as of June 20th, I believe. Additionally, Mr. Melhorn and I have finished finalizing the calendar with our executive board meetings beginning in August. We are so excited to begin this school year. The Carroll County Student Government Association remains committed to supporting and advocating for the student body, cultivating leadership, and building a united community throughout Carroll County. On behalf of CCSGA, I'm looking forward to a successful 2026 to 2027 school year. Thank you for your time and have a great evening. God bless.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear board member reports. Can I start with Ms. Tedeschi, who's joining us virtually tonight?
All right. Good evening, everyone. My sincerest apologies for not being able to be present at this meeting. I'm currently at the Civil Air Patrol encampment for Maryland and Delaware, and I'm serving as cadre. But I will give you guys my update. So to begin, for the Maryland Association of Student Councils, or MASC, on June 24th, I met with Ms. Lorena Wu, who is the student member on the board for the state, and we discussed our goals together and some of the challenges that we might face achieving these, and also how we can serve to assist one another and really make this year as successful as possible for both Carroll County and Maryland as a whole. Then for Carroll County Student Government Association, as Ms. King mentioned, we have begun to introduce each other to our new executive board and who we will be working with this next year. This then leads on to my personal goals and what I've met. On Thursday, July 9th, I met with our Schraub-elect, Ms. Brooklyn Ellis, and we discussed some of the basics of the role and what we're trying to achieve this year. So our goals, some of the challenges that we may face in achieving those and just in general. And we began to plan for the next year on our passion projects and how we can work together to make CCSGA and Schraub as successful as possible.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Zimmer, would you like to go next? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, since school let out last month, I've been fortunate enough to spend some quality time with my family, and as a result, my report this month is short and sweet. So on June 24th, I attended the Skills USA graduation ceremony right here in our boardroom, honoring students who missed their home school's graduation ceremonies in order for them to go and compete in the 2026 Skills USA National Leadership and Skills Conference and Championships. On Friday, July 4th, my family celebrated the 250th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence by watching the fireworks at the Carroll County Farm Museum. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Zimmer. Dr. Malvo.
All right, thank you. So here's some of the activities to report for my month. On July 13th, I went to the Lego Bingo fundraiser for Skill Tree. This is held at the Hampstead Firehouse. Proceeds went straight to the Skill Tree Center, which offers care for those facing behavioral health challenges, giving social and practical skill building opportunities for neurodivergent, autistic, and non-neurotypical individuals. On June the 16th, I attended a legislative breakfast held by Senator Justin Reedy. The event provided a wrap-up of the 2026 legislative session and greater understanding for the Senator's legislative priorities. On June the 24th, I attended the Skills USA graduation ceremony. A number of our talented students missed their high school graduation ceremony in order to compete in the National Skills USA competition in Atlanta, and this graduation ceremony did a good job replicating the missed traditional ceremonies. Congratulations also, graduates. On July the 3rd, I thoroughly enjoyed the family-friendly Mount Airy 4th of July commemoration and fireworks display. I could feel the spirit of our country's 250th anniversary with the various activities, including a parade, rooftop gatherings, and fireworks. On July the 8th, I further celebrated the 250th anniversary of our nation and the pride of being an American with attending a commemorative reading of the Declaration of Independence at the historic courthouse in Westminster. With this event, Carroll County joined over 600 communities nationwide to mark the 250th anniversary of the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence. And on July 9th, I accompanied my family and went on a sensory-friendly tour for my son, who will be an incoming 9th grader in CCPS. My son was able to walk his schedule, become familiar with the layout of the school, and get insights on student clubs as well as extracurricular activities. I want to especially thank the assistant principal, Tina Toman, and LFI teacher, Jennifer Cuffley, for providing the tour. Our family looks forward to returning to the group sensory-friendly orientation session to be held during back-to-school events on August the 27th. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malvo. Ms. Battaglia.
I hope everyone is enjoying their summer break. I'll make it real quick. So the Carroll County 4-H and FFA Fair will be July 31st through August 8th. The theme this year is 250 Years of American Freedom, Farming, and Future Leaders. So I do hope that you guys will, and everyone, please come out and support many of our CCPS students that participate in 4-H and FFA programs. And even just the community itself. There are so many activities. There is so much planned. The Fair Board and the Junior Fair Board, which is a lot of our students, have been heavily involved in creating activities. So please come out. Again, July 31st through August 8th. Go onto the fair website, which is carrollcountyfair.com, and you can see the schedule. And they even have a singer, from what I understand, that's going to be there, so you can make sure you get your tickets for that performance. Hope to see you at the fair.
Thank you. Dr. Dorsey.
Thank you. On June 15th, I attended a MABE Equity Committee meeting. The committee members shared ideas for training topics. On June 24th, I joined my colleagues and attended a special graduation ceremony for several students who missed their high school graduation to attend competitions at National Skills USA. So thanks to Mr. King, Mr. Riddle, and all staff involved for providing this opportunity for students. On June 25th, I attended a MABE Resolutions Committee meeting. During our meeting, we reviewed and updated resolutions that guide our organization, and these resolutions will be distributed to all board members and voted on during the business meeting of our MABE conference this year. And finally, on July 13th, I attended a MABE Awards Committee meeting. At this meeting, we reviewed the nominations we received for this year's Distinguished School Board Service Award. This is an annual award to recognize a current or former member of a Maryland local board of education who has demonstrated outstanding leadership, commitment, and service to public education and to the work of local boards of ed. The recipient will receive the award at our MABE conference in October, so another reason for you to hopefully attend. And finally, I did have a conference program committee planning meeting later on July 13th, and along with the conference co-chair and MABE staff, we were working on plans for our next meeting with the program committee. So that's my report for the month. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dorsey. For my report this month, like Ms. Zimmer, I spent a lot of time with my family, so mine will be relatively short, and I'll fill it with some suggestions for our students who may be bored this summer. On June 24th, I too attended the Skills USA graduation ceremony for those several students who represented us admirably in Atlanta at the Skills USA competition. I would like to say that once again, our county shined in the Skills USA competition. We captured, I think, more than half of all of the medals compared to any other school district in our state. And so I'm just really proud of the staff there at the Career and Tech Center for motivating and encouraging our students. And once again, we walked away the biggest winner in our state. And that's a testament to our educators and our staff. But thank you again, as Dr. Dorsey mentioned, to Tom Riddle and Mr. King and our staff for giving them that opportunity to attend a graduation ceremony here at Central Office when they couldn't participate in the normal commencement exercises at McDaniel. On June 24th, also later that day, I attended the Retirement Living Communities public meeting hosted by Commissioner Susan Krebs at the South Carroll Senior Center. The meeting focused on gathering public input regarding potential development standards for future retirement communities. During the discussion, I recommended that future developments incorporate wider roadways and multiple points of ingress and egress to ensure that school buses can safely access and navigate through these communities. Although one would think that retirement communities are generally designed for older adults, school systems are legally required to provide transportation for school-aged children who reside with guardians and grandparents in these developments. Because many existing communities are not designed with school transportation in mind, school systems like ours incur huge costs to provide special transportation for these students to and from school. If you remember, a couple of months ago, it was in the millions annually. So I urged our commissioner to incorporate it into development standards, the process to widen those roads so that our school buses can access them and save our school systems money. So that is what I said at that June 24th event. On another topic, again, for those students that might be bored, I know my rising junior at Liberty mentioned the other day that he's bored. And so I want to give you something to consider. I encourage our students to consider volunteering with one of Carroll County's local fire companies. Our volunteer firefighters provide an invaluable service to our communities, and many departments welcome young people, especially our high school students who are interested in serving, developing leadership skills, and exploring future career opportunities in emergency services. Supporting our brave, dedicated men and women in our fire and emergency services helps strengthen our communities while fostering a lifelong commitment to public service. So please pass that along to your high schooler, especially if they give you the "I'm so bored" thought at home. And then finally, two more points. I'd like to commend Mr. Ryan Melhorn and the CCPS educators for the outstanding work they did in developing and delivering America 250 lessons and activities to our students. As a military retiree and someone who vividly remembers our nation's bicentennial celebration in 1976, yes, I'm that old, I appreciate the lasting impact these experiences can have on our young people. Their thoughtful efforts to connect students with our nation's history will create meaningful memories and inspire a deeper understanding of our shared heritage for years to come. I know when they celebrate our nation's 300th anniversary here in 50 years, I know that they're going to think back to what they did in school. And all of our educators inspired those memories. And again, I appreciate so much the efforts that you put into those lessons and activities. And finally, as we prepare for the start of a new school year, I want to recognize and thank our dedicated 12-month employees, including our administrators, maintenance and operations teams, custodial staff, and central office personnel, whose hard work continues throughout the summer. Their planning, preparation, and behind-the-scenes efforts will ensure our schools are safe, welcoming, and ready for students and staff on the first day of school. Their commitment is essential to a successful opening, and it is sincerely appreciated. And I encourage my colleagues to think about where you might position yourself on opening day for our school system this year, because it's so much fun welcoming our students and staff back that first day of school. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. McCabe.
Good evening. 32 students from the Carroll County Career and Technology Center attended the Skills USA National Conference in Atlanta in June. Our students won 4 medals: gold in occupational health and safety, silver in health occupation portfolio and architectural drafting, and bronze in t-shirt design. In addition, students finished in the top 10 in the nation in 5 events: nurse assisting, engineering, technology design, photography, promotional bulletin board, and crime scene investigation. Congratulations to these outstanding students and their instructors. I would also like to congratulate our agri-science teachers who were recognized at the Maryland Agriculture Educators Conference. Erin Guyman from Manchester Valley High School received the Outstanding Teacher Mentor Award. This award program honors those who have committed their time and expertise to supporting and celebrating other teachers in the profession. It also highlights those teachers who dedicate their careers to advancing their profession through mentoring on all levels, including both beginning and experienced teachers. Brittany Stiles from South Carroll High School was the recipient of the Outstanding Agricultural Education Program Award. This award recognizes agricultural programs at the middle and high school levels that are creating boundless classrooms and providing limitless learning for their students. It specifically highlights the achievements and growth of the program over the last 5 years. Erin and Brittany now have the opportunity to apply for the respective categories for the National Association of Agriculture Educators Regional Competition for National Recognition. Shelby Altoff from Francis Scott Key High School received the Outstanding FFA Chapter Award. This award highlights exceptional agricultural education and community leadership and recognizes FFA chapters that actively implement the mission and strategies of the organization. And finally, congratulations to JROTC cadets Terrence Ho and Jackson Outland from Century High School, and Peony Kang and Elizabeth Mays from Liberty High School for winning a place in the Sweet 16 at the JROTC Leadership Academic Bowl held in Washington, D.C. This competition tests the knowledge and understanding of multiple disciplines. It began with 5,000 JROTC teams from across the nation and consisted of 2 rounds leading to the final competition. The team won 5 out of 9 games, resulting in its placement in the Sweet 16. Congratulations again to these students and JROTC instructor, Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Cook.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. Now we'll proceed with our next motion, or the next item on the agenda, which is presentations. We'll have a presentation related to pre-kindergarten in CCPS. Dr. McCabe.
Our instructional presentation this evening is our pre-kindergarten and early learning program. Often when we discuss pre-K, it is in regard to blueprint requirements and the public-private partnership approach. So it will be nice this evening to hear a bit more about the instructional program itself and how we serve our early learners. Ms. Myers and Ms. Leone are here to share an overview and some highlights. As always, we are happy to respond to board questions and comments. Mr. Shockney?
You took it over for me. Thank you, Dr. McCabe. Yes, it's just my role to introduce Ms. Myers and Ms. Leone, who will walk us through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. McCabe and members of the board. It is our pleasure this evening to give some highlights of the Early Childhood Learning Program here in Carroll County Schools. We're specifically going to focus on our pre-K program as well as the Judy Center Early Learning Hubs, and we're going to demonstrate the impact that we make here in Carroll County on the early learning opportunities for student readiness in kindergarten. The work that we do directly correlates to Pillar 1, where we're focusing on improving academic achievement. We have the opportunity to start early and strengthen the foundation for our youngest learners to be able to show readiness for kindergarten. Pre-K is not mandatory, but it is an opportunity for students in our county. And we do hope that our work is helping the students' journey towards college and career readiness. And we do differentiate our support for the individual learner needs as well as the families within Carroll County. So the slide here is giving a highlight over the program, specifically to pre-K. We do have 23 accredited pre-K classrooms within Carroll County. That equates to one pre-K program in each of our elementary schools, with the exception of Freedom Elementary because they do not have the space in their facility. However, the community members are still served. We do offer opportunities in surrounding schools for those families who qualify. And another exception would be Mount Airy Elementary. As you know, they have the grades 3 to 5, so students in that community are supported by Pars Ridge Elementary. We also have the opportunity to have 2 classrooms at Elmer Wolf, Robert Moten, and Runnymede Elementary, and that's how we get to our 23. The program specifically is a general ed setting. It does allow us to intervene early and support our children prior to entering kindergarten. We do have a full day program. It's 180 days. It follows the kindergarten through grade 5 yearly calendar. The way that students become eligible for the program is through a centralized application process. We have families who have expressed interest apply. They show evidence of their income eligibility, and we use the federal poverty level to determine whether or not those families are eligible. The state of Maryland requires families that are up to 300% of the federal poverty level to be seated. And so based on that, just for an example, for reference, a family of 4 who makes a household total income of $99,000 would be at that 300%. So anyone there or below. And again, there's variation based on number of children and in the households, but just to give you a reference. Based on our current interest and the capacity within Carroll County Public Schools, coming into this fall, we have already seated every family at or below 500%. So we feel really good about that, almost double of what we're required to do, which would be all of those Tier 1 kids. So currently we're at 90% capacity. We still are accepting applicants, and we're reviewing them on a daily basis. Again, the program is a full day. We have an academic schedule which does include all 4 content areas. The ELA, math, social studies, and science are taught within the 4-year-old pre-K program. The students also have a 30-minute special each day, so art, music, physical education, which occurs twice a week, as well as media once a week. The students also receive a 30-minute rest period and a 30-minute recess. In addition, the students are receiving 2 meals a day, one of which is actually provided at no cost to the family. The enrollment for our program, we have the capacity to seat 20 students. We must maintain a ratio of 1 adult to 10 children, and we do that through a teacher FTE as well as a highly qualified paraprofessional. And those are both full-time positions in each of our pre-K classrooms. Based on those ratios and the number of programs, we have the availability to seat 460 students within all of our Carroll County Public Schools. And again, kind of referencing back to that Pillar 1, when we look at different populations of students, last year's enrollment, just to give you some statistics, 71% of the students that were enrolled last year were at or below the 300% poverty, or they also were experiencing homeless, which would be another requirement for us to seat those students. 17% of our population of students enrolled last year were identified with a special disability, and they were getting services under an individual IEP education plan. And 20 of the students that we supported last year were multilingual learners. So that kind of gives you a picture of what types of learners we are working with and the support that we're able to offer to our community. As Dr. McCabe mentioned, the mixed delivery model is unique to this particular program, and the goal here is to build the capacity for high-quality early care and education programs across Carroll County, and this would then increase the access and support to our families and the young children, again, prior to going into kindergarten. For next year, MSD has approved 6 private providers within our community, and this partnership between the public and the private programs are able to increase the capacity for an additional 100 students. These would be 3 or 4-year-olds that are throughout Carroll County that can also be served, in addition to what we're doing publicly. The next couple slides, I'm just going to highlight some data for you. So the kindergarten readiness, this would be the data from the students that just finished kindergarten. This information is representing students when they come into kindergarten in Carroll County Public Schools. MSDE released a new assessment, so this data would be a baseline across the entire state of Maryland for all of the school systems. And for our students, more than half of our incoming kindergarten children have demonstrated established skills. Students that are at the performance level of established skills are able to demonstrate early literacy and mathematics skills. This would support their learning based on the Maryland kindergarten learning standards. These students would be ready to build on the skills and also take on new challenges throughout the school year. So happy to report the STAR early literacy was a 75%. To give context, we were actually ranked #1 in the state of Maryland with that score. All Maryland schools percent there was 57, so we were well above that. In the STAR math 66, we were ranked 3rd, 1% below the second ranking. The second ranking was tied at 67, and again, across all Maryland schools, that percentage was 55. So we're pleased to share across the state our data demonstrating the readiness of our children, again, partnershiping with the community providers, our parents, and our educators within the public schools. The next 2 slides are the local data for our current or our exiting pre-K students. So we have a primary literacy assessment, which specifically focuses on what we are looking at the county level. By the end of the school year, all of our Carroll County Public School pre-K students are expected to identify at least 17 uppercase letters, at least 17 lowercase letters, and at least 10 sounds with accuracy in order to demonstrate proficiency. So for our students, you can again see demonstrating proficiency well above the 80% in all 3 of those areas. And lastly, the math data I wanted to highlight. Again, this is local data based on our students. We are expecting students to score at least 80% on the assessments in order to demonstrate their understanding of grade level standards. For pre-K, we have a mid-year assessment which measures different standards than the end of the year, and you can again see well above the 80% of our students showing that they're able to demonstrate the understanding of what the standards are at both points in the year. The mean score for our pre-K students was a 91% in both mid-year and end of the year, and just excitement to share that 21 out of the 23 pre-K programs had at least 80% of their children meeting the benchmark expectation of the 80%. All right. So with that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Betsy Leone, coordinator of the Early Learning, Judy Center Early Learning Hubs.
Can I just add a comment? Sure. Again, thank you so much for sharing the data with us. And again, it's something we've always looked at over the years, making sure that our kindergartners are ready. We've been looking at kindergarten readiness, and certainly with the fine start that our pre-Ks are getting, I mean, it's wonderful to see. Now, I just have a question. You had mentioned that there's a percentage of the students who received special ed services. Is that across levels, or is it mainly speech, or, I mean, is it?
It could be any type of an IEP service delivery. So if the child has an identified disability and is being serviced by an IEP, then that's the data that I reported in the percentage.
Okay. But
And that was
again-
last year's information.
Okay.
Yes.
But again, the data looks great. Thank you so much for sharing it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, sir.
And while you're there, I had a question too. I wanted to know if we had an active approach in trying to identify kids with special needs, because, as a former educator, the sooner you identify kids, the better. So do we have an active process where we're identifying kids? And then I had another question. Are there areas in our county that we're turning away people from participating in pre-K because we just don't have the space? And if so, are there areas that the board should look at in trying to see whether or not we could provide additional pre-K services in those areas where we're turning away families?
Okay. So,
I'll
You want me-
Chris,
Okay.
special ed.
yep, I thought maybe that, yeah. So Chris Whittle, Director of Special Ed, is going to answer that question. And then with regard to availability across the county, one of the things that I'm very diligent about is making sure that no matter where the child resides, if their family is in that threshold of income, that we're offering a spot. Even if it's not in their home school, we will offer that in a neighboring school. The parent would be transporting in that case, and in most cases, the parents are happy to do that.
All right, I'll answer the special education question, not the one, the third one you asked. So in terms of special education, we have a birth to kindergarten program that, as part of it, has active community outreach, works very closely with the Judy Center, works with Ms. Myers, and other community partners to make sure that we are getting information out regarding parents being able to refer their students for either IFSP if they're little, under 2, or under 3, really, age, or IEP if that would be needed. So we have a very, very active outreach throughout the county.
Right. Judy Center Early Learning Hubs are funded through a blend of MSDE grants and local contributions of 1 FTE teacher per site. We have 3 total sites located at Elmer Wolf, Robert Moten, and Tawnytown Elementary School, where free and reduced meal percentages are higher. Judy Centers support children prenatal through age 5 and their families living within those specific school boundaries. Additionally, outside of the catchment areas, we serve families with children younger than 5 that are experiencing homelessness or receiving special education services. Judy Centers support family well-being and promote positive child development prior to kindergarten. In partnership with families, we provide a strong educational foundation. We offer a variety of programming opportunities for families that include weekly parent-child playgroups, family engagements, parent trainings, home visiting, and transition activities. We run across 12 months, and our programming during the summer is consistent to what it looks like during the school year. Judy Center Early Learning Hubs partner with many community agencies to ensure coordination of family supports for young children and their families. We have 468 children participate in Judy Center programming, and more than half of those children are aged 2 through 4 years old. We have trained and certified parents as teachers, home visitors that provide visits in the home, and they support parents in their role as being their child's first teacher. And 99% of families agree that Judy Center has increased their understanding of child development and helped them better understand school readiness through playgroups and family engagements. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I do. I think that there's real differentiation that comes with being able to do these home visits. I think that's great. I wonder if you could expound on that any more in terms of the home visits, goals, objectives that occur with that.
So we identify families through partner referrals, and they're families that require that high intensity early intervention, and our PAT home visitors work with the families using a strength-based approach and setting the families where they're dreaming and helping them with those little milestones along the way to reach achievement.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, a lot of good things going on in our schools, and we really appreciate your efforts with the Judy Centers and our pre-K program. Next on the agenda is the America 250 activities. Dr. McCabe.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we were all able to celebrate the 4th of July. It was a special time for everyone as we all commemorated the landmark moment of the 250th anniversary of our great nation. As you are aware, in alignment with our proclamation, the schools have been honoring our nation's semi-quincentennial throughout this past spring. Our schools have been recognizing the 250th anniversary through an array of activities as part of the curriculum, in the community, or through special projects. Mr. Flaherty in Ms. Gaddis's office has produced a video of the school's activities, and a team of Mr. Shockney, Ms. Gaddis, our elementary and secondary social studies supervisors, and our school directors are here to share the great things our teachers and students have been working on. I'll ask Mr. Shockney to start us off.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. Yeah, and there's a long list of names up there on the presentation title slide, but that does not capture all the folks who went into planning and implementing these great activities to help us celebrate our semi-quincentennial, which I've been working really hard to be able to say without any challenge, but I'll find a way, I'm sure, as we go. So just before I get rolling, just wanted to say thank you to everyone involved, because there's a lot of work going on. As always, we like to start with a very good objective. We just want to give you a little summary of the activities that we implemented that help recognize and celebrate America 250, as well as Maryland 250 and Carroll 250 as well. We'll do a little presentation. We've got some great videos. We have a great video to share with you. And again, just to pass on how we celebrated this. Obviously, this is a direct connector to Pillar 1, which is improving student achievement. And again, lots of vertical alignment to what's happening here locally in our schools, along with what's happened across our state and across our country. And I know lots of our students participated in activities, and our staff and our families participated in activities, obviously at the school level, but also throughout our county, throughout our state, and nationwide as well. All right, so if you remember back in January, we identified kind of a little bit of a plan of what we wanted to be able to do, and we hyperlinked the presentation there should anybody at home be interested in seeing what we did back in January. But we kind of talked about 4 key areas that we wanted to have integrated curricular activities that all of our students would experience. We also wanted to help advertise and share some of those community-based activities that were going on. But in addition to those curricular activities, we wanted to identify, each school was going to do something special and unique. And the final one is a special project that we had discussed on the Declaration of Independence, which is a recording of our students reciting the Declaration of Independence, which we'll get to. We won't show that video in its entirety later, but there's a great link to it, so our citizens and our families and our students can access. And I'll turn things over to Ms. Carrie Gaddis.
Good evening. Our role in the communications office was to document and showcase all the wonderful things that have been taking place in our classrooms throughout the entire system. So we had 2 projects that were going on at the same time. The first one was to go into the classrooms and to photograph and videotape activities and events. And the second one was to work with our students in our schools to put together a video of the Declaration of Independence. And we couldn't show you both of those videos tonight, but what we do have is a short video that highlights both of those projects.
Gentlemen, as the Second Continental Congress, we are about to ratify the Declaration of Independence. As representatives of all 13 colonies, we recognize that in ratifying and signing this document, we are committing an act of treason against the Crown. So I suggest that at this point, we ask students from Carroll County Public Schools to read it aloud.
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them.
Good morning, South Carroll. Here's today's America 250 fun fact about the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution.
Many people believe Betsy Ross designed the first American flag, but historians think it was actually designed by Francis Hopkinson, a member of Congress.
Stay tuned for tomorrow's America 250 fun fact.
Today we are discussing the biggest question of our lives. Should we declare independence from Great Britain?
We cannot let King George limit our rights anymore.
We're going to be making butter and enjoying some biscuits and lemonade. You're going to learn how to tin punch with Mrs. Klein. And then play some indoor games that if you went to school, what would you do for recess? And you'll also get to do some quill writing.
What does America mean to you?
Opportunity. I think it's great that most people that can come here can get opportunities they can't see elsewhere in the world.
I like that we have a lot of rights here that I feel like in other countries we don't get, and I think we all should be pretty grateful that we get the right of education and the freedom of speech.
I think the freedom to be yourself, to choose who you want to be, rights, you can say what's on your mind without fear of repercussion, and I feel like that's a very American thing.
You have this economy that allows you to be whatever you want to be. And those are definitely opportunities that other countries don't give us.
Typically, there's something that happens in the air during the 4th of July that you might associate with this holiday. Do you know, Helena?
Fireworks.
They are fireworks. Let's give each other fireworks. Ready? Would you draw a card for America's birthday?
Fireworks.
And fireworks. You know what? I think that's a great one.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy 250th birthday, America. Very nice.
I do want to take this opportunity to thank our schools for sending us photographs and information and for working with us when we went into their classrooms videotaping and taking photographs. I do need to say a very special thank you to the CETV staff, Pat Flaherty, Kelsey Thomas, and Mike Fell, who spent 2 months going in and out of schools and putting all kinds of documentation together. And a thank you to Brenda Bowers, who's been keeping this alive on all of our social media. If you've been looking at any of our accounts, she's been posting things throughout the last couple of months. At this point, I would like to introduce Ryan Melhorn and Bruce Lesh.
All right, so as we discussed, we planned some curricular activities that were done at the various levels in our building, so I'll let Bruce share what was done at the elementary level.
Yeah, so our target was to make sure that every student in the system had a distinct opportunity to learn about the significance of the 250th anniversary and the importance of the Declaration of Independence. So we scheduled curricular activities that were delivered during the week of June 4th, 1 month out from the celebration. And as you can see from the pictures, all students were engaged in activities focused on either the Declaration of Independence itself or the 250th anniversary. At the elementary level, we had classroom teachers design those lessons so that they were targeted towards the developmental levels of each grade. And then in the 4th and 5th grade, we were able to kind of double down. We already teach the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution in the 4th grade, so we could expand what we did there. And then we teach the Constitution in the 5th grade, so we could expand even deeper. Every kid had that opportunity. And then to set the stage, 6 weeks prior, we started the morning announcements with the trivia about the American Revolution to kind of set the stage in terms of building knowledge and just to build up a little bit of anticipation for students.
And then as Mr. Lesh said, with that exposure, I'm in 4th and 5th grade to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. We took that a little bit further at the secondary level for middle and high school students to look at excerpts from the Declaration as well as the Constitution to make those connections that document, the Declaration of Independence, wasn't just a one and done, that a lot of those principles and beliefs established in that document really set up how our Constitution was created. So they're able to look at some of those principles of rule of law, the different rights and how that led to the Bill of Rights and those types of things, and make those connections within their learning. So those were some of the things we did within the classrooms. Community activities, we had a lot throughout the year. I sit on the Carroll 250 program committee, so again, working with the communications office, make sure that the events we have planned are shared out with our school community, including the most recent reading of the Declaration of Independence at the historic courthouse. Some of the other images up there, we have our History Day that happens in February, end of February every year. Part of that, we have a History Expo where we invite in our local historical sites and organizations to exhibit as well. This year, Maryland 250 was a big part of that. One of the other things we've done over the last few years and did recently this prior summer, we didn't do it this year, and we'll do it next year, is provide professional learning opportunities for our teachers to attend our local historical sites. Many times they live in the community, they're not aware what these historical sites have to offer for educational purposes and the ties they have to our curriculum. So we take elementary, middle, and high school teachers basically on a week-long field trip to visit those sites. Some of the board members, you've attended that before as well. And at the end of that week, then they go back and write a lesson that can then be connected to our standards and our curriculum to embed some of that local history in, because it shows that kids are more engaged when they can make those local connections. And one of the other things up there, one of the big focuses too, is just civic literacy, knowledge of our government as part of this process. And the middle picture up the top there is our middle school mock trial camp. We actually just finished that this afternoon over at the Circuit Courthouse. We had middle school students, from 60 middle school students, and that's a great partnership with Carroll County Public Library. In our school system, again, building kids' knowledge of the mock trial process, and again, we put them in front of real judges in the circuit court. So this afternoon they held their trials, and it was great just to see our students involved in that. So those are some of the things we've been doing in the community to support students as well. And for our school directors.
Okay, so at the elementary school level, our teachers planned lessons that allowed our students to not only learn facts about our country's history, but also challenged and expanded the knowledge of the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution. So a few of the highlights that you saw in some of the videos that were just shown and in the pictures here captured were colonial days, where students participated in making food, art, and playing games from the time period. Art and music activities in which our younger students, as you saw in the videos, made birthday cards and sang patriotic songs. We had Declaration signing days, readers' theater activities in which students shared the history of America, and we had a reenactment of the Boston Tea Party and the crossing of the Delaware River. Okay.
Good evening. My name is John DePaul. I'm the new director of middle schools here in Carroll County. I'd like to share a couple of examples of creative lessons that our middle school teachers developed and implemented in their classrooms to celebrate America 250. Specifically, two lessons I'd like to highlight include 250 Years of America and Symbols Tell Stories. For the 250 Years of America, students identified what they already knew about U.S. history, they learned new facts, and they collaborated in small groups to sequence major historical events and explain their significance. Then students added important events to a class timeline and concluded by writing a headline predicting an event that could potentially shape the next 250 years. For Symbols Tell Stories, students explored how national symbols reflect America's history and values. In small groups, students researched symbols like the bald eagle, the Statue of Liberty, and the Liberty Bell. Then they created posters explaining the significance of each symbol and what the meaning was to them. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. I'll highlight two schools at the high school level. At the post-secondary level, our Transitions Connection students fully engaged in an America 250 week of activities that featured reading the Declaration of Independence, reading a related historical story, and completing an America 250 craft project. At Westminster High School, it's actually on the graphic, Miss Long's hospitality class partners with Mr. Vance's Foundations of Tech class to create the large flag. They also made the America 250 cupcakes, and those are two of the highlights of a full week of activities at Westminster High School that they had, basically an America 250 Spirit Week at Westminster. Thank you. And I get to introduce Ms. Carrie Gaddis. Come back.
As I mentioned previously, one of the projects we worked on was a video of the Declaration of Independence. And Mr. Flaherty spent some time going out into, I believe it was 24 schools, and we had 37 students from different schools reading different sections of the Declaration of Independence. And that turned out to be a long video. I think it's over 10 minutes, so we couldn't show that this evening. But we do have a link on our website so that our students, our families, and our community members can see it. And Ms. Bowers is going to put out information about it, put it on our social media, so that everybody will have an opportunity to see what our students did.
And with that, any questions or anything that the team can answer?
Not a question, but just a comment. I think it says a lot in terms of all the different activities that were done, and just congratulations to you all for such a great job.
Thank you. The team did a great job.
Yeah, I just want to echo that as well. Thank you to everyone that was involved. I think it is so important and it's so meaningful to make sure that our children understand, what America is. We've always said that, history is, there's good and bad and ugly and everything in between. But when you look at the bigger picture and what we're celebrating with 250 years of America and our kids being part of that, I think it's a testament to what our community can really come together and do. So thank you.
I just want to say thanks. You all always come through, and you do it in flying colors. You do a wonderful job, and just appreciate all that you do in our classrooms, just to bring it all to life for our students. So thank you all very much. And it was nice meeting our new director of middle school. So thank you for being with us tonight, and thanks to all of you who presented.
Just a quick question. What date or around when can we look for that Declaration of Independence video to be posted online, or is that up already?
I think it's ready now.
It should be up as we speak. Yes, it should be up.
Thank you.
Just wanted to echo the same thanks that my colleagues have expressed. Mr. Melhorn, I feel like it was well over a year ago, we were at the Historical Society and you were kind of outlining some of the things. So I know a lot of this work was months, if not years in the planning, so I'm very grateful. Having some conversations with my fourth grader this summer around the 4th of July, I was thrilled to know that he had a pretty almost complete understanding of the Boston Tea Party. So these are the kinds of things that I'm so glad that our students are learning here in Carroll County Public Schools.
Yeah. And Ms. Tedeschi, did you have a comment or want to say anything? Didn't want to forget you.
Yes, sir, I did. So I just have a quick question regarding what Mr. Melhorn had mentioned with the field trips. So I understand that different families have different availability and accessibility to historical sites, and I think this is a really great opportunity for our students to make those local and learning connections. How are we able to ensure equity across the county so that way students are able to experience, like Ms. Battaglia had mentioned, the different parts of history, so that way they're able to have a well-rounded experience, not just see one certain aspect? Thank you.
Thank you, Ella. Great question. That's one of the reasons why we've been doing that professional learning, is to get our teachers out to bring some of those local stories in. And then I'm also co-chair of Celebrating America, which is a consortium of all of our local historical sites. And that's one of the things we've talked about with those sites and their own organizations of accessibility. We've had a lot more of our local schools attending our local sites for field trips. I know the Farm Museum had quite a bunch of visits this year, as well as the Historical Society, which is excited to see that they're starting to make an effort to visit some of those local sites.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, thank you to everybody. Again, Mrs. Zimmer, my colleague last fall, was telling me about the interface that she was having with you, and I mean, I had no idea it would transpire into this. This was amazing. All of you and the educators, you made our history come to life, and I know our students are going to be thinking about it when they celebrate our tricentennial 50 years from now. So, thanks for being a big part of their lives and bringing it to life, because it's very, very important stuff. So again, thank you very much. So with that, I think we'll move on to the next agenda item, and that is our personnel transaction report. Dr. McCabe.
I have one personnel transaction to report this evening, and that is Megan Humbert from assistant principal at Liberty High to English teacher at Northwest Middle.
Thank you. All right. Well, I know we're a little early, but we're going to go proceed to our next agenda item, and that is public comment. Dr. Dorsey, floor is yours.
Okay, to have an orderly presentation of comments by the public, the following guidelines apply. Number one, speakers with a connection to CCPS will be allowed to address the board for the allotted 3 minutes. Only those speakers that have registered online and have been notified by the communications department will be permitted to speak. Priority will be given to those citizens that are addressing the board about an item on the current agenda. Citizens not appearing in person for public comment can write to the board through email or U.S. mail. Number two, public participation is not intended to be a question and answer session. However, if citizens have specific questions, the superintendent will assign a staff member to make contact during the board meeting to arrange a time to respond to questions. Number three, the superintendent and board reserve the right to correct misinformation presented as factual after the conclusion of the public participation period. Number four, statements to the board should relate to a recent agenda item, an item that is expected to appear in the future, or a matter of general policy over which the board has authority. Personnel matters, pending appeals, the actions or statements of individual staff, or items related to employee negotiations are not appropriate topics and may not be discussed. Number five, the board has scheduled time on the agenda for public participation at approximately 5:15 p.m. The board reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on a particular topic so that all topics may be addressed. Additionally, the board retains the discretion to allow additional speakers as it deems appropriate. The board is allowing no more than an hour for public participation. Number six, comments are limited to 3 minutes or less. All comments should be directed to the board members at the dais. Citizens may only address the board with their individual comments. Citizens may not stand in for another person or group and read their comments. When the allotted time expires, the speaker is permitted to complete a sentence. Citizens may leave any handouts for board members on the table at the back of the boardroom. Please do not approach the dais. Additionally, the public may not display signs or posters during the board meeting. In lieu of signs, or if you are unable to complete your comments in the allotted time, individuals are encouraged to submit remarks to the board in writing. And finally, number seven, those seated in the audience are asked to be respectful of the speaker and refrain from commenting to the speaker or to the board members. So with that in mind, we will begin our public comments for the evening. Our first speaker is Gail Wickless.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I appreciate that. My comments are going to be in reference to outdoor school, and I know you guys voted to close that. Contrary to the board, it is a school being closed, and it is one of the best schools that Carroll County offers. You mentioned that it's open to the public. It is open to the public when they take hikes. When they're in the cabins and they're eating, they're in restricted areas, which are closed off by a gate and locked at night. The cabins are locked and alarmed when the children are settled for the night. Adult teachers are on staff all the time. There's also a full-time nurse on site. The encounter with the staff member was not face-to-face, it was through a door, and the staff member handled it appropriately. Staff member told the person to leave. When the person didn't leave, Then they contacted more staff people and 911. Person was escorted out and never had contact with the students. The truth's about outdoor school. Yes, they do take hikes, and yes, they may encounter people that are also hiking through the park. This is no different than one of the school boards members mentioning that their teacher takes hikes through Charlotte's Quest. I'm sure that park is not closed to the public, so I'm sure they encounter other people in the park also. Mr. O'Malley mentioned waivers for the sporting events, and that's why we don't have a problem with doing those. You have to sign a permission slip for people to go to the outdoor school. It's no different than the sporting events. Parents have a right to opt out. They don't have to send their children. Regarding the sexual abuse end of it, Mr. O'Malley also talked about Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and how many cases they have about sexually abuses occurring there. But then the school board said, if a parent wants to have an overnight for their children, we would recommend to them and give them brochures for Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. That to me is like putting the lamb in lion's mouth. We need to be careful doing that. I think that's still a litigation that could open you wide up. Sporting events. There are no metal detectors at sporting events, which means anybody coming there to be a spectator could cause any kind of catastrophe. We do nothing about that. We've done nothing about that. And it is tough to control. But when it does occur, your only answer is, I knew it could happen and I did nothing. Same thing with fire alarms failing in some of our school systems. We know it's happening and we're doing nothing. And your answer when something happens in one of those schools is, I knew it could happen, but I did nothing. These are real, not perceived issues that need to be addressed. The safety issues, we were concerned about the staff member talking through the door for the person that was on the grounds. But we ask our teachers to go to outdoor school and stay there overnight in the cabins. They're going to be working 24 hours. They're going to be working all day, all night, and then be required to come back to school the next day. That, in fact, is a serious safety issue. The other thing is we want to put kids on a day basis. So we're going to put them on the buses.
Would you finish your comment, please? Thanks.
If these conditions were so horrendous and the board members were aware of all these conditions, why did one of the board members send her child into the potentially dangerous conditions?
Okay, if you would finish your comment, please.
And not allow Carroll County parents to make their own decisions for their children. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Sharon Wilhide.
There's an audio. No, there's an audio.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Wilhide. I'm a parent to 2 children in CCPS and a candidate for the Board of Education. I'm here this evening to discuss communication, transparency, and misinformation. At the beginning of every public participation session, guidelines are read aloud and stated the following guidelines apply. Number 1, only those speakers who have registered online and been notified by the communications department will be permitted to speak. I've had the pleasure of speaking at many of these meetings now, and not once have I been notified by the communications department. I always check the website prior to a meeting, but I have received no notification. Number 3, the superintendent and board reserve the right to correct misinformation presented as factual after the conclusion of the public participation period. I believe that the community also reserves the right to correct misinformation presented as factual. According to the American Psychological Association, or APA.org, misinformation is false or inaccurate information, getting the facts wrong. Disinformation is false information which is deliberately intended to mislead, intentionally misstating the facts. According to the email that was sent out from the board on June 11th on outdoor school, 6th graders sleeping overnight in cabins supervised primarily by high school students on unfenced property with a single adult overnight. However, according to the risk assessment that was conducted, it states there are 2 teachers and a nurse, so 3 adults overnight. Inquiring minds want to know, is this misinformation or disinformation? We should hold our elected officials accountable to provide accurate information. We should also hold our elected officials accountable for appropriate and effective communication as they serve as liaisons between the school system and the community. The board asks for public participation, but when the meeting agenda is not provided with sufficient time, or when votes on important matters are held at the last minute without advance notice on the public agenda, that eliminates any trust or faith in the board. Now, I understand that parts of the risk assessment on outdoor school have been redacted for safety and security, but based on the visible recommendations, there were several recommendations regarding contacting the county, the fire department, the fire marshal, and the local police department. But before you asked our educators, who are already overworked and underpaid, if they would stay overnight, did you ask the county, the fire departments, the sheriff's office for support for those recommendations? In the concluding remarks of the risk assessment, it states, quote, "We are confident that the findings and prioritized recommendations in this assessment provide a practical roadmap to strengthen safety, security, and resilience while preserving the program's education mission. As a community, we deserve transparency regarding the safety and security of our children. As I saw recently online posted by someone in a leadership role, we deserve leadership that tells the truth about our financial obligations." Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Anthony Chatino.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Everything I'm about to share can be backed up with public record, and I'm sharing what I know to be true and in good faith. My name is Tony Scatino. I'm a Carroll County resident. I grew up here and was fortunate enough to attend outdoor school. I'm a father of 2 children. Like most of you, I pay taxes and I vote. We pay a lot in taxes. You expect the monies to go to teach our kids, but look around. Outdoor school has lost its overnight program. Teachers haven't got raises. Staff and services are cut. While students and staff are told to do more with less, some spending keeps growing. In February of this year, the board renewed the superintendent's contract and gave her a $55,000 raise and increased her monthly car allowance to $950. According to the board's own documents, CCPS has paid its outside counsel, Pessin Law, close to $2 million in 6 years. Just the retainer itself is $210,000 a year, and for several years, they've blown past that by 6 figures. For fiscal year 2026 alone, the board approved an extra $118,000 over the legal retainer, and on the same day, it voted to end outdoor school overnights. Their contract has never gone out to bid. Why? Because the board says MABE already approved the firm. MABE is the statewide group for all Maryland school boards. But here's the catch. Two Pessincat Law lawyers helped write MABE's rules. So the firm helped write the very rules used to approve it. Here's why all of this matters. When your outside counsel always bails you out, why worry about bad decisions, even if you might feel free to make them? Outside counsel gets paid no matter what with your taxpayers' dollars. Bad decisions like taking offensive legal action against your own elementary age special education students or suing the state of Maryland BOE. When you think a school system is misusing money, there's one place to go: the Office of the Inspector General for Education. Here's the concern I'm raising about the conflict between the OIG and Pessin Law. Public record suggests the official who screens those complaints appears to have a close family relationship with one of the Pessin own attorneys. The OIG oversees every school district in Maryland. Pessin Law represents 17 of those 24 districts. You can appreciate the magnitude of the potential conflict looking at the whole picture. One firm helps write the state rules and sets its rates. One firm litigates against its own students, and at the same firm appears to have a conflict in the office that is supposed to investigate complaints against it. It appears every road leads back to Pessin Law. Every year we are told there's no money for our teachers and students, but there's always money for the lawyers. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gary Foote.
Good evening, board members and Dr. McCabe. How many of you went to the movies last week? How many of you would have been more likely to go if a friend or a family member had invited you? Now, here's a harder question. How many of you voted last month? Most of the county, unfortunately, did not. And yes, that is a problem. Public schools exist in the first place to teach students how to be good citizens. If we don't even get them to vote, then clearly our instruction is of a meager and unsatisfactory kind. We must do better. Obviously, the first step is encouraging those we know to vote. If an invitation to the movies works, and it often does, an invitation to vote is worth a shot. How many of you have made presentations about voting in schools? How many of you have made statements about voting at public meetings? G.K. Chesterton has defined democracy as a serious attempt to get the shy people to participate. It should not be about counting votes, choosing rulers, or throwing the bums out. It should be about creating conditions where all of the citizens feel comfortable speaking their minds and participating in public life. Clearly, we have work to do, and this is work uniquely suited for public education. Another definition of democracy includes the bizarre concept that more than 50% of the people will be right more than 50% of the time. It's the worst possible government except anything else that has ever been tried. But clearly, this notion is invalid when voter turnouts are so low. Carroll County, in some respects, has turned into a democracy desert. Too many offices are uncontested. Others are decided by primaries with very low turnout in which one of the major parties can't even vote. Teaching our students to vote is perhaps the single most important thing we can teach. Our students will not learn this simply by drinking the water, which is what we seem to have thought over the course of the last several years. Whom to vote for is a political question, and no school should be teaching that. How to vote, however, is essential, and protecting and expanding that right is necessary and proper. I have previously noted that you seem to make a plug for the military at almost every meeting. Lately, you have been enthused about America 250 and events surrounding the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. But if we refuse to take voting seriously, what are we getting excited about? We are seriously in danger of completely missing the point.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Julie Walsh.
Hello, my name is Julie Walsh. I am a parent of 5 children attending several CCPS schools, and I'm also a candidate for the Board of Education. I come to you on 2 counts. One, perhaps in line with the celebration of our nation's 250th anniversary, I think it's important to recognize the importance of having an engaged community, paying attention to what happens at all levels of government and being willing to step forward. Over the course of my adult life, I have spent many hundreds of hours coming before legislative bodies at both the county and state levels, asking for change, giving my opinion, weighing in with what I think is best, as is my right as a citizen. I understand that I'm not the person making those decisions, but as a citizen, I have the ability to step forward. I respect everyone who comes here and steps forward. And so I continue to feel the sting of disappointment at what happened at last month's board meeting. The issue of outdoor school is one that the people of Carroll County have demonstrated for years that they care about, that they want to weigh in about. People have come forward to speak, to email, to make their voices known, and they were not given the honor and respect of being notified about the vote last month and being given the opportunity to weigh in. I understand that you all have been elected to make that decision. I respect that. But for such an important issue, I think it is important to respect the people who come forward and to give them the opportunity to say their piece. So I wanted to say that first. The other thing is I wanted to speak on a completely different subject about the pilot program in the middle schools for the coming year regarding schedule changes. I have a son who is going to be at one of the pilot schools. I know that at the last State Board of Education meeting, there was a delay to the policy changes regarding implementing the state's requirement about 60 minutes per day regarding math and ELA teaching. I expect we're probably moving forward with the pilot in Carroll regardless, but I would like I think it would be fair for the community to know that. I also think it's really important for, if we are moving forward, to really focus on preserving to the best extent we can science and social studies instruction, because English and math teachers are going to have a lot more time to convey what they need to convey to their students, and social studies and science teachers are going to have to figure out how to take a year's worth of teaching and put it in a completely different format. It's going to be a real challenge to teach I have middle schoolers. It's going to be a real challenge to teach middle school age kids for those long periods of time. And unlike in ELA and science, where you're talking about 60 minutes plus extra ELA and math, you know what I mean. For social studies and science, you're going to have 90 minutes of content provided. It's going to be very different for
Okay,
teachers.
if you would
and
finish your
I
thought,
hope you
please.
will give them every help you can in making the transition well.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Joe Tier.
I'm Joe Tier, a grandparent in Carroll County, and parent too, but my kids are out of the schools now. So I'd like to talk about two issues about the outdoor school issue, or 2 points. The suggestion of extending it into the evening and misinformation posted online. So an idea has been circulated that maybe the best approach might be to extend the day into the evening. It would allow students to have the experience of campfires, dinner, evening nature walk, and instead of making them leave at 2 or 2:30, and then only going home to their cell phones and video games, they would have the outdoor school experience into the evening. You already have lesson plans and schedules in place, and we don't want to have our students miss out on 50 years of experience that others have had. If buses were to come earlier in the day, then you could keep that as a necessary option for the families that need it. And for those students whose parents or a community carpool can pick them up later, make the pickup time 7 or 8 o'clock. So we as a community need to advocate for and insist upon an immersive outdoor experience. Then the point of misinformation. As I followed this, I saw a lot of social media posts that appeared to be misinformation or disinformation that was suggested. And so it just was troubling because I just wanted to know what the facts were, and it seemed like there was an agenda behind the misinformation. The first one that I saw was outdoor school is closing. Thus, quote unquote, the scuttlebutt is that this is the first step to closing outdoor school completely. And the operative phrase in there is the scuttlebutt. Now, it would be good in the coming election in November for people to know where Board of Ed candidates stand on outdoor school. Second thing is the risk assessment issue, MABE versus CCPS. Then I don't really care who originated it. I think that what you have is a big risk overnight when you don't have teachers available to do that overnight. And the only other alternative is high school students and parents as chaperones. And in today's environment, I don't think high schoolers are really in a good position to do that chaperoning. And I don't think that parents can have adequate background checks for doing chaperone duties. So thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Diana Bergman.
Good evening, Board of Ed members and Superintendent Dr. McKee. I'm Diana Bergman, and yes, I'm a candidate for Maryland House of Delegates. And today I'm bringing forward my concerns regarding safety and the manner of some decisions are made with the lack of transparency or the lack of public participation. As a parent of a student in Carroll County Public Schools, I encourage making informed decisions, including our stakeholders in the conversation, and especially encouraging parents to engage in the process of their children's education. For 50 years, the outdoor school has been providing a memorable program for Carroll County Public School students. My concerns regarding decisions being made without the participation of the public is alarming. What is even more alarming is the choice not to ask the expertise to provide their services. All of our public schools campuses have a yearly assessment completed to determine what risk needs to be assessed because it's state law. Yet not once was the lead of safety and security for Carroll County Public Schools ever asked to evaluate the outdoor school. I understand that the outdoor school is not a CCPS property. Still, I'm sure the county could have done a better job addressing safety concerns, not just routinely, but immediately after the incident that allegedly compromised the safety of the children and staff. I don't understand if you have the resources available at your fingertips to make common sense decisions, such as asking the director of school safety to assess the campus, to make at the very least an informed decision. Why wasn't a simple request made? Aren't we supposed to prioritize safety for our students and staff? Sometimes to do the job adequately and responsibly, we obviously need a little more than common sense. We need to make an informed decision and choices in the best interest of our students and educators while prioritizing safety at all times. Doing so requires folks to show up, work to identify solutions, and together everyone achieves more. That's what being a team member is. So I hope we could do better. I know I have extra time. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Timothy Redmond.
Hello, thank you. I was reviewing the agenda for the meeting today. I didn't see anything about terminating contact sports, school dances, and other events outside of school hours, off-site and late in the evening, or public access to the school after hours for community activities such as basketball, et cetera. Because I would have to imagine that 9 out of 10 actuaries would agree that there is substantially a greater likelihood of a material adverse event, as I call it, related to these activities than there would be in outdoor school. We live with the risk for these activities, and no waiver or anything like that would get us out of the issues that would arise from such a material adverse event, again, as I call it. We live with the risks while making investments and taking actions to address them, something we can still do here with outdoor school. We can choose to improve security and safety to make the program tenable. We can invest in security systems. We can hire students as counselors so they're CCPS employees and get all the training and certifications and backgrounds that teachers get. I mean, we can do out-of-the-box thinking to find a solution to kind of make the program tenable. I have 4 kids that would go through this program, and I don't want them to face an issue, of course, I mean, obviously, but I also see the value of the program. I see the benefits. I would hope that there would be a board and staff that seeks to provide them with the benefits of that program while investing and making the program more safe and secure, thereby reducing the cost. I'm a CPA, so I think of things in cost-benefit analysis. Let's not bellyache about the cost to make the program secure. Let's move forward making it so. I'm steadfastly in support of preserving this program, given the unique experience it provides to Carroll County students, many of whom remember their experience well into adulthood. My other comments are about the scheduling changes, and those I am vehemently opposed to these scheduling changes, specifically for elementary students. Specifically, moving social studies and science to 30 minutes every other day just craters the effectiveness of the instruction in these subjects. A science experiment or a discussion of Revolutionary War figures, America 250, figures one day loses momentum when it's paused for several days. Layer on top of that student absences, especially in elementary school with immune systems that are still building, holidays, snow days, et cetera, and you can see how, and even if the actual instruction time is only halved in each subject area, the effective instruction time is further decimated beyond that. I also think it is a short-sighted attempt to meet reading and math requirements. Science and social studies provide outlets for application of reading and math concepts. They are gateways to get students interested in topics that lead to practice in reading and math. For example, reading about the Revolutionary War, like I mentioned, or using math to do measurements for a science experiment. I have a fourth grader who stated my favorite thing I learned in 4th grade was all about people from the past and historical figures that made a difference. I have a 1st grader that on his own likes to measure materials to make baking soda to volcanoes. These interests pull my children to reading and math. Specifically, my 4th grader is diving into books about learning about historical figures. It is that interest in social studies topics that is pulling her to reading. These subjects need to be preserved, and we can update our curriculum if need be to make sure there are facets of reading and math strewn throughout social studies and science. I would happily dedicate and volunteer my time working with educators to make this a reality.
Okay, and
preserve
if you can finish
dedicated
your
social
thought,
studies
please.
and student science time in the classroom. It's in the students' best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker for the evening is Josh Wilhide.
I did have a prepared speech, but after being last, for some reason, either because of my height or because of the W of my last name, my entire life, I'm used to being last. Like whenever you're lined up alphabetically or you're lined up by height. So I'm used to being able to pivot and being able to just talk off the cuff, because what can I say here that the 8 other people haven't already said or addressed or said something along the same lines that I'm trying to express to you? I think one of the biggest things that I see when I sit down here and I look at the 10,000-foot view of what the community and the school board is doing, I'm often asking myself, where as a community, how does this tie back to the United States? How does this tie back to our government? And even watching and talking and hearing about all the various different pieces of the American 250 celebration and the Declaration of Independence, and hearing Ms. Gladys talk about the video that's going to go up online, it's very good to see. I think one of the things that I carry with me at most times is something that people don't really realize about me, is that I do carry my little constitutional friend in my pocket. It is well loved and I do look at it on occasion. I feel like there's a lot of the times in our society where I wish people would go back and actually look at what the supreme law of our land actually says, or what it represents, or what it does. I think there was something in here that is also very important that I wanted to highlight, is that, in 2004, the Public Law 108-447, Section 111, was passed, saying that each educational institution that receives federal fund, like CCPS, for a fiscal year shall hold an educational program on the United States Constitution on September 17th of each year, because it was ratified on September 17, 1787. And so, as we celebrate the Declaration of Independence, I don't want to lose sight of what I see as a very important document, which is the Constitution. And most of the time, yes, this is the Constitution, but it also has the Declaration of Independence. It has both. I see the Declaration of Independence and Constitution kind of side by side. I think one of the things that I really want to highlight here tonight is that the outdoor school seems to be something that crosses bipartisan line. It sounds like the entire community as a whole wants to find a way to have outdoor school come back, or have some transparency back with this board. And I think that one of the things that is actually written in here, and it's actually on page 1, and it's actually written by George Washington, it's not part of the Constitution, but let me just read this quote. "The power under the Constitution will always be in the people. It is entrusted for a certain defined purpose, for a certain limited period, to representatives of our choosing, and whenever it is executed contrary to our interest or not agreeable to their wishes, their servants can undoubtedly and will be recalled." George Washington said it.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our list of speakers for the evening.
Thank you. Next up, employee groups comments. Who's first tonight?
Ms. Porter's not here, so it'll just be me. Just me.
Ms. Porter is she's jet lagged from the conference.
No, it's not my business to say. So, okay. First of all, I'd like to assure everybody, I was an advisor at Winters Mill High School for 20 years. I can tell you that we teach the Constitution every September, whatever, because I was responsible for doing that in advisory. So, just a heads up for everyone. Okay, so I'm Celeste Jordan, president of CCA. And tonight, my speech kind of fits in with Ryan and Bruce left, but they can watch this later. All right, as our nation celebrates America's 250th birthday, we have a unique opportunity to reflect on the institutions that have sustained our democracy for nearly 2.5 centuries. Among the greatest of these institutions is public education. John Adams once wrote, "Liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people." Those words will remain just as relevant today as they were nearly 250 years ago. Every day, America's public schools fulfill that vision. Educators do more than teach academic content. They prepare informed citizens. They encourage students to think critically, solve problems, engage respectfully with others, and understand both the rights and the responsibilities of living in a democracy. Public education preserves and expands the American story. It is where students first learn about the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the struggles that have shaped our nation, the ordinary people whose courage expanded freedom and opportunity for others. It is also where students begin writing the next chapter of that story through their own ideas, talents, and service. Here in Carroll County, our educators continue that tradition every day. They inspire curiosity, foster creativity, celebrate achievement, and support students through challenges both inside and outside the classroom. Their work extends far beyond the lessons and assessments. They are helping shape the citizens who will lead America into its next 250 years. To celebrate this milestone, CCA has launched CCA Honors 250 Years of the American Story, a series of short videos featuring members reading historic documents or sharing what they love about the American story. Through these videos, we celebrate not only our nation's history, but also the role public education plays in preserving it and passing it to future generations. I invite everyone to follow the series on our public Facebook page as we commemorate this historic anniversary. As we celebrate America's 250th anniversary, let us also reaffirm our commitment to the public schools that have helped make our democracy possible. Supporting public education is one of the most meaningful ways we can invest in our communities, our future, and the continued promise of America. Thank you to every educator, support professional, administrator, volunteer, and family member who contributes to this important work. Every day, you help ensure that the values of liberty, opportunity, and civic responsibility are passed from one generation to the next. As we honor the indispensable role educators play in preserving our democracy, it is worth remembering that today marks 683 days since nearly 20% of the CCA bargaining unit received a salary increase. Thought you weren't going to get it today, didn't you? All right, if we truly value public education and the people who make it possible, our commitment must be reflected not only in our words, but how we support and invest in our educators. President John F. Kennedy reminded us, liberty without learning is always in peril. Learning without liberty is always in vain. As CCA honors 250 years of the American story, we also celebrate the educators who ensure the story continues to be learned, understood, and enriched by every new generation. May we continue to strengthen the schools and the educators that prepare every generation to write the next chapter of the American story. Thank you.
Ms.
Thank you very
Jordan.
much.
Sorry, Ms. Jordan, real quick, when will CCEA be at the fair? Are you guys going to be at the fair, first of all, and are you scooping ice cream?
Of course, we're going to be at the fair scooping ice cream. Sometime during that first week in August. It's, I feel like a Thursday maybe or something. I'm actually going to be at Cape May, so I won't be scooping ice cream. But Catherine Burling has it all worked out, but we will, of course, be scooping ice cream. And actually, I was just on the phone yesterday with Erica McAndrew, because we do also give some money to the fair to support our students doing that. So it's, as a former 4-H'er, I am always happy to support the fair.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our next agenda item, we'll enter our actions section. May I have a motion to approve the award of bids? So moved by Dr. Malvo.
A second.
Second by Ms. Battaglia. Dr. McCabe.
There is only one item on the award of bids this evening, a contract for repair of chillers at South Carroll High School and a warranty on the service. This is funded by the local CIP Infrastructure Renewal Project account, through which the commissioners were able to support us by replenishing the account with $3 million of one-time funding for FY27.
Is there any discussion by colleagues? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion to approve personnel action items? So moved by Dr. Dorsey. Second by Ms. Zimmer. Dr. McCabe.
Over the next few months, you'll see evidence of the hard work of our HR staff and the curriculum department and school-based administrators who all participate in the annual recruitment process to staff our schools. For the monthly personnel action items, there are 77 new hires, 6 rehirees, 2 release from contract, 3 promotions, 4 leaves of absence, 7 increases in FTE, and 8 decreases in FTE for your approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from colleagues? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. May I have a motion to approve appointments?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Battaglia. Second by Dr. Dorsey. Dr. McCabe.
First, Susan Bird, currently an academic specialist in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, to assistant principal at Century High School. Timothy Britton, principal, retired from Montgomery County Public Schools, to principal at Francis Scott Key High School. Ken Crilly, lead network engineer in tech services, to supervisor of information technology in technology services. Laura Doolin, from pre-kindergarten through 12 student achievement coordinator for English, to supervisor of secondary English and world languages in the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. Kelly Hill, English teacher, Montgomery County Public Schools, to assistant principal, Liberty High School. Stephanie Horde Wallace, from supervisor of social work in Montgomery County Public Schools, to coordinator of special education therapeutic services in the Department of Special Education. Sarah Jarbo, currently Spanish teacher at Westminster High School, to assistant principal, Winters Mill High School. Carrie McCann, currently registered nurse at Westminster High School, to coordinator of health services in the Student Services Department. Martin Vandenberg, retired assistant principal from Howard County Public Schools, to assistant principal, South Carroll High School. And finally, Catherine Vane, current English teacher at Shiloh Middle School, to acting pre-kindergarten through 12 student achievement coordinator in English.
Any comments or questions from colleagues? I will say, and I know Mr. Diaz is preparing for next month's question, right? How many openings are left? Just give you a heads up now next month. But, our due diligence in meeting blueprint mandates and making sure our budget works, we're in a good spot. Whereas other counties like Montgomery County, Howard County, Baltimore County, they're laying off staff left and right. So if you notice, that report has a lot of educators considering coming to Carroll County to work, and we welcome them. So with that, I will call the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, may I have a motion to approve the amendment to deed of easement to the Board of County Commissioners and to add an access groundwater monitoring infrastructure at Westminster High School? So moved by Dr. Dorsey.
Second.
Second by Ms. Battaglia. Dr. McCabe.
This item is for your approval to extend a temporary construction easement with the Commissioners, which you previously approved a year ago.
Any questions, colleagues? Calling the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. And finally, may I have a motion to ratify a collective bargaining agreement with Carroll County Food Services Association?
So move.
So moved by Dr. Malvo, second by Dr. Dorsey. Dr. McCabe.
We are pleased to bring for your ratification this evening a new collective bargaining agreement with our Food Services Union. This agreement is for 3 years and includes salary increases as part of the terms. It has been ratified by the membership of the Food Services Union. More importantly, your ratification this evening concludes all collective bargaining from the prior school year. It was a busy year as we had negotiations with all 5 bargaining units. These processes are important and take time to complete. But between your actions last month and now this evening, we have been able to successfully achieve new agreements that are mutually favorable to the board and to our employee groups. We appreciate the board's guidance in the negotiations process and the professional collaboration we enjoy with all 5 of our unions. It is easy to overlook and take those relationships for granted, but it requires a lot of time, effort, attention, and mutual respect and trust to establish and maintain this level of collegiality, especially across all 5 unions, which isn't to say that we always agree on every single item. However, I do know that we always agree that we need to work together to find solutions grounded in our common goal of educating our students. These types of labor management relationships that we benefit from do not necessarily exist in every locale. So I want to just take a moment and comment on yet another aspect where I believe we are in a very good position statewide here in Carroll, and to thank both the board and the leadership of our employee groups for the commitment required to maintain this dynamic.
Thank you, Dr. McCabe. Any questions or comments from colleagues? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That concludes our action section of the agenda. Any other last-minute concerns or items for discussion? Hearing none. Our next meeting of the Board of Education will occur at 4 p.m. Wednesday, August 12th. We will have a board meeting and public participation in the boardroom here at 125 North Court Street, Westminster. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Battaglia. Second by Dr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.